look forward to another year of In the Trenches presented by First Star Logistics, but we wanted to give you some big news. This season, you'll find our interviews and keys to Bengals victory on In the Trenches in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, along with our growing team of Joe Goodberry's Bengals on the Brain and Malik Wright's State of the Jungle. Also, the great folks at First Star Logistics have big plans this season with special giveaways each week the Bengals play. So be sure to visit both channels and our social media pages to stay updated on all giveaways and the latest news on the Bengals. So be sure to subscribe to the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, as after this season, it'll become the channel that will host all our content. Time to talk keys to the game against the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks coming off a bye week, so they'll be well rested. They have to travel east, but they have to travel everywhere. Seattle, tucked up in that northwest corner of the country, every road game is a major, major trip and effort for them. They were a playoff team last year, and they lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. Geno Smith made the Pro Bowl. It's a pretty good story, Seattle Seahawks were last year, and they've made some improvements this year. They're 3-1 coming off that bye week. Big key, in my mind, as big as there is playing with a lead. I don't care what level of football you're talking about. When you talk to coaches, they tell you one of the biggest things you got to do is play with a lead. It changes everything. It changes the dynamic of play calling on both sides of the football and special teams as well. Scoring on the opening drive against Arizona was huge. The first touchdown in the first quarter this season. Not only the first quarter, but the first touchdown of the first half this season. Make it a habit. It's a must. Play with the lead. The more you play with the lead, the better off you are. There's no question about it. It's common football sense. Ball security. Seattle has one giveaway this year in their first 4 football games. Only team in the National Football League to value the ball that well. It's a Geno Smith interception. They have not fumbled. They haven't put the ball on the ground. It's the only team in the NFL that has not put the ball on the ground. They're one of 4 teams this year that has not lost a fumble. But those other 3 teams have put the ball on the ground but did not lose possession of it. Seattle hasn't even put it on the ground. That is ultimate ball security. They got 6 takeaways. Their +5 ratio is tied for 5th in the National Football League. So turnovers are going to be a big deal, as they always are. But the Seahawks take care of the football. Third down. Bengals have been inconsistent at best on 3rd and 4th down conversions to keep drives alive. That's no secret to anybody. One of the biggest improvements that must be made is better execution on the money downs, those 3rd and 4th downs. Seattle offensively on 3rd down, 28.9%, 31st in the league. Defensively, they're giving up 52.4%, 31st in the league. That bad on 3rd down. How do they have a 20-point scoring differential in their favor in the first 4 games? They've scored 111 points, 6th best in the National Football League, just under 28 points a game, 27.7. How? A lot of it is field position. Another key to this football game. Long fields for the opponent. Seattle's done a great job of that. Short fields for them. Seattle special teams are very special. They're 5th in punt returns. They're averaging over 16 yards per punt return, 16.4. They're number 1 in punt coverage. They're only allowing 3.5 yards per punt return. That differential of almost 13 yards is amongst the best in the National Football League. That's better than a first down every time they exchange punts. It's a first down advantage for the Seattle Seahawks. That is huge. That's big time. 7th in the National Football League in kickoff return, 13th in kickoff coverage. DJ Dallas is an excellent return guy. He's a running back for the Seattle Seahawks, and he's big time as a returner. Their kicking game, the actual kicking portion of it, Michael Dixon, the punter, he's averaging 53.5 yards per punt, which is number 1 in the National Football League. 48.8 yards net, almost 49 yards net, 2nd best in the National Football League. Their place kicker, Jason Myers, was a Pro Bowler last year. The kicking game is solid. The kicking game is consistent. The Bengals are going to have to be very, very sound in all 3 phases, special teams, offense, and defense. Short fields have been real big for this offense. Seattle's only got 235 snaps. Now, that's a little deceiving because of the bye week, but that's 30th in the league. Their time of possession, 26 minutes and 40 seconds, second worst in the National Football League. Yet they averaged the sixth most points in the National Football League at almost 28. Stands to reason field positions help them big time. And they've been very efficient offensively with those shorter fields. They've converted those to points. Protection, pressure, that's going to be a big factor in this football game. Seattle rushes the quarterback well, and they protect theirs. They've allowed 7 sacks, tied for 4th fewest in the National Football League. They've generated 16, which is tied for 5th most in the National Football League. Plus 9 sack differential is tied for 3rd best in the National Football League. They have a very creative pressure package, multiple pressure packages that are creative. 10 different players are involved with the 16 sacks. 6 different players have 2 sacks. Nobody has more than 2 sacks on the football team, but 6 different guys have 2 sacks. 4 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 2 members of the secondary. So they are bringing it from everywhere. You know, Pete Carroll is known for his defensive mind. His defensive coordinator, Clint Hurt, is bringing people from everywhere. Bengals are going to have to be sound in terms of recognition and communication in terms of protecting quarterback Joe Burrow. And they're going to have to get after Geno Smith, at least get him off his spot. If you're not going to sack him, don't let him get comfortable, be on his spot, delivering the football with no threat of any pressure. That's going to be a big factor in this football game. Okay. Cincinnati, on the other hand, is 8th in the National Football League in sacks per pass attempt, offensively and defensively. And it's easier to protect your quarterback, Joe Burrow, when the run game is a viable threat. Joe now showed a lot more mobility last week, but you got to get the running game going. A sound running game will make it even easier for Joe Burrow to hang in the pocket. The Bengals' run game, 74.6 yards per game, 30th in the league, 3.5 average per rush, 25th. Seattle, last year, they gave up the 3rd most rushing yards in the National Football League. They drafted and signed free agents to fix that, and have they ever. Right now, they're 6th in the NFL, allowing only 87.5 yards. 1st in the NFL, allowing 3.2 yards per carry. Wow, that's big time. So Seattle stops the run, makes you one-dimensional, and then they'll sack you 16 times in 4 games, 4 per game. Very simple formula. Stop the run, rush the quarterback, and rush the quarterback many different ways, many different schematics, bring in all kinds of different people, 10 players involved in those 16 sacks. Pretty good defensive football team. Key in this game, both teams have 2 unscripted, unconventional scores, non-offensive touchdowns. We know against Baltimore that Charlie Jones took a punt back 81 yards for a touchdown, kept the Bengals in that game, ultimately lost that game by 3 points, but that special teams touchdown was enormous in that football game. And then we know that Cam Taylor-Britt basically made a turning point play in the football game against the Arizona Cardinals with that 11-yard pick 6 after the Bengals were stopped on 4th and 1. Made something very, very glum turn very, very positive 2 plays after they were stopped on 4th and 1. Seattle's got 3 interceptions on the season. 2 of them they've taken to the house. A 97-yard touchdown by rookie Devon Witherspoon, 97 yards. Witherspoon took it to the house. A 40-yard touchdown return by Trey Brown, a cornerback. And then the 3rd interception didn't go to the house, but a 21-yard return. I mean, they have 3 interceptions, return them for over 150 yards. They're flipping the field by half a football field. If they don't score, I'm talking about the short fields they're giving the offense. They scored 2 touchdowns that the offense didn't have to concern themselves with, and then gave the offense a short field with a 21-yard return from Quandre Diggs. Complementary football, has been talking about it all season long. All 3 phases have to complement each other. Offense, defense, and special teams give support to each other. Cam Taylor-Britt's biggest and most obvious example is that what we talked about earlier, stopped on 4th and 1, down 14-10, with 1 minute and 37 seconds to play in the first half, all your timeouts. Zach Taylor figures go for it. So if you don't convert, they're backed up in the 6-inch line. hopefully the defense will make a stand. You're going to get good field position and kick a field goal that you would ultimately kicked anyway. So why not take the shot on fourth down? It didn't work out. Cam Taylor-Britt made it pay off big time when 2 plays later he jumps the route, and Mike Hilton bluffs a blitz and backs off. And, it's Dobbs reads blitz and throws the ball accordingly, and Cam Taylor-Britt jumps it. Big play, that defensive touchdown. Then finally the red zone. You got to get there. Got there 5 times against Arizona. That's pretty good. Just 2 touchdowns, though. That's not good. You have to convert on a higher rate than that. Seattle's defense has allowed just 8 red zone opportunities in 4 football games. Just 8 times they've allowed the opponent in the red zone. That tells you that they've been the beneficiary of long fields for the opponent. And the opponent has to go a long way, multiple plays. And at some point, you're going to make a mistake or the drive's going to stall and you have to punt. Opponents have been in the red zone 8 times. That's second fewest in the NFL in a 4-game stretch against the Seattle Seahawks. The good news for the Bengals and the problem that Seattle has, they've allowed 7 touchdowns. Teams have only got in there 8 times, and they've allowed 7 touchdowns. That 87.5% touchdown scoring percentage is worse than the National Football League. Get there. And when you get there, finish like people have been finishing. It's all about scoring 7 and not settling for 3. And definitely not failing on fourth down like what happened in Arizona with a little over 1 minute and 30 seconds to go in the first half. Those are some keys to the game against the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to be a slobber knocker in Cincinnati. Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team. Opportunity knocking.